Welcome back. It's still the morning brief right here on Channels Television. And as we progress in our conversations today, we'll be taking up politics now. And it's very important, especially as the politics of 2027 shapes up. If you look at the political map of Nigeria now, we now have APC very prominent in the north and in the southern parts of the country. We have the PDP also, we have the Labour Party, we have APGA. But somewhere around the map, we have the ADC that is trying to get into the map. So let's talk about the African Democratic Congress. And joining us on this segment of the program is Chieftain, now I believe in the next couple of hours, of the ADC, and of course journalist Chief Dele Momodu, who joins us virtually. Chief Momodu, good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning, and how are you today?
Very well, thank you. And thank you, sir, for coming in early on the program.
Yes, I had to come in because today is a very, very busy day for me in Edo State, my home state, where I will be formally declaring for ADC. I've been a member all along, but not a card-carrying member. Now I am fully ready to pick up the card, and then we'll start to mobilize Nigerians from all over the world, because Nigeria needs to be rescued urgently.
And thank you for setting the tone. That's where I'm about to start. Yesterday, or maybe some days before now, since you say you were already a member but not a card-carrying member, you were a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. And we recall in the 2022 presidential primaries, you were an aspirant, and if my memory serves me right, you scored no vote in that presidential primary. And so the question would be, as a chieftain of the PDP moving to the ADC now, what electoral value are you bringing to the African Democratic Congress?
Okay, let me start by saying that primaries of every political party are fought usually on the basis of financial muscle and capacity. You need to mobilize some of the delegates for them to be able to support you. And as I mentioned the last time when I recorded the I said I have nothing to be ashamed of. I had nothing to give, but thereafter, you could see that I was the director of strategic communications for the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign organization. And the only reason you will be made a director of such a gargantuan department of campaign is because you have something to offer. I have the media power. I may not have money, silver and gold I may not have, but I have the media power behind me, and I've been using it not just today, even when I was just a reporter many years back. You could see my closeness to Chief Moshood Abiola. I was one of his media campaigners in 1993. So if I had value to be so prominent, and then I joined Nadeko too as a media campaigner, and I was put in detention at a point, and I was forced into exile later. So there were people who spent billions during that primary, and they have not recovered till today. They are still crying because they wasted their billions. Failure is failure. A man who spent no kobo and did not get the ticket, and the man who spent billions and did not get the ticket, they are equal partners. So that would be my reaction to that. But on a very serious note, politics is not just about winning elections. It's about setting, you just said something now that I'm setting the tone for this discussion. That's how it is in politics. We help to formulate policies. Behind the scenes, there are people who are able to give ideas, to give strategy, that will make the candidate win election. And I'm proud that I've always done that. From 1993 to date, I've never stopped. So, and for ADC, you can see that I've been talking, I've been promoting the ideas and ideals of ADC, and Nigerians are happy that at least we have a few people with conscience who can say to hell with making cheap money in politics. If I wanted to make money in politics, I would be with Ashwaju. I will be in the forefront. But that's not the issue. We need to rescue Nigeria from one-man dictatorship. We need to recover. Nigeria needs to recover. You know, when you rescue, it's like taking the patient to the hospital. The doctor, the first thing they want to do is to make sure that they rescue you, make sure you recover, and then they can reset whatever went wrong and make sure that they put things right. And then you can now begin to talk about the developmental projects. That's how politics is. And I'm proud to stand firm. A lot of people, including governors who have seen it all, who have lived on the largesse of Nigeria today, they are crumbling. They are afraid. They are scared. They are being cajoled on one hand, and they are being coerced on the other hand. And I'm proud to stand firm on my principles that no, Nigeria cannot afford to become a one-man dictatorship. For me, that is a priority. Everything else will be added onto it once we are able to recover Nigeria and reset our nation.
Well, you wrote on January the 6th on your handle that, and it was an advice to ADC, that the party must avoid another Wike scenario. And I got a lot of people talking, said, yes, we had the PDP, hopes were high, but then it began to just dip, and there were issues around discipline, democracy, and in fact, in your statement or your advice to your party now, you said the main conveners promised to make it an open party for all. That's the PDP, and one that will uphold democratic tenets. But then you said issues around discipline are, pivotal to building a party. But some have also pointed to what happened pre-2023 when it was expected that, with this unwritten rule that, presidency will go to the south after it went to the north for 8 years, that the PDP would align with that. But that didn't happen, and that's what caused this whole Wike situation. So it looks like you're already seeing that as a possibility in the ADC. So is that what you meant? The whole, if the ADC decides to go
ADC,
north again?
I said yes, ADC should learn from mistakes, but I wasn't talking about zoning. And the problem of Wike was not about zoning. Please don't let us rewrite our contemporary history. The problem of Wike is very personal. You can see that nobody can please Wike.
No, but he has said it time and again, Chief Momodu, pardon me. He has said it time and again that it was because the presidency didn't go to the south. That's why he said, you know what, I'm not going to be a part of this.
It is not true, sir. Wike wanted to be vice president. So if they had made him vice president, would he be complaining about power not going to the south? He lobbied to be vice president. There is no question about that. Let's not rewrite our contemporary history. This history is too recent for us to rewrite it. So it had nothing to do with it. And the issue of zoning has never been on the front burner of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you cannot bring party affairs to supersede, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It pains me every time people deliberately manipulate history and story. No, Wike wanted to be vice president, so let's settle that first. It is the prerogative of every political party to use whatever strategy it can muster to win an election. And if you want us to go down memory lane, there has never been a time that a northerner spent 8 years, a southerner spent 8 years, a northerner spent 8 years. It has never happened. It's in recent times that people feel the only way they can cleverly get the ticket of a party is if they go via zoning. So that is what is going on. Zoning has nothing to do with it. That's why former President Buhari, before he became president, was contesting every election, even when his own tribesman, Yaradua, Umaru Musa Yaradua, of blessed memory, even when he was in power, they were still contesting against him. There has never been a time. There will never be a time the Omoyele Sowore will not be able to contest. He will be able to contest every election, regardless of the fact that Tinubu is in power. There is no time that Dele Momodu will not be able to contest, because the Constitution does not forbid anyone from contesting. So it is the prerogative for ADC to use every strategy at its disposal to unseat the reckless APC that wants to turn Nigeria into a one-party dictatorship.
You know, right now we're talking a lot about the politics, less of the policy. The concerns you've raised, I remember I had a conversation with Chief Patutomi, Professor Patutomi rather, where he talked about, look, because I put him on the spot, asked him some strict questions, and his response was, look, if Peter Obi chooses to be a vice presidential candidate, in principle, that will be when he will withdraw his support for Peter Obi. And I think you responded by, I think you called it the naivety of the intelligentsia and all of that. Is that still a major concern for you, that already there are hardliners positioning their interests and insisting on their path to how the ADC must stage itself against the ruling party?
Well, there will always be hardliners in politics. I mean, it's a matter of principle. It's also a matter of strategy. At this stage, I don't see why anyone should not say it's only my candidate and it should be my candidate. But my advice was that don't let it get acrimonious. We have to be careful, because that is the wish of the ruling party, that we will not be able to agree or disagree to agree. I've spoken to Prof publicly, privately, and I understand where he's coming from. And I've spoken to my very dear brother, the perfect gentleman, former Governor Peter Obi, privately and publicly. So at this stage, I believe that our allegiance, and that includes me, should be to the party and not to any individual. I've said it publicly that if I wanted a candidate, my own candidate would be Atiku Abubakar on matters of strategy, on matters of experience, on matters of exposure. In the days of tribulations, you run to the elders of the house, who can then bring out the wisdom of the ancients, you know, to make sure that things are straightened out. But that's not it right now. There are many big wigs who can deliver for ADC. They include the former governor of Sokoto State, former Speaker, House of Representatives, Aminu Waziri Tambuwa. They include former Minister of FCT, former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai. They include my friend and brother, former Speaker for 8 years in Rivers, former governor for 8 years in Rivers, former Minister of Transport for 8 years, that's Chibuke Rotimi and Mechi. So we have a lot of people, a rich and robust lineup in ADC. So for me, it's not about one man. And we have, of course, Mr. Peter Obi, who INEC recorded, maybe controversial, as coming third, and Atiku Abubakar as coming second in the last election. So ADC is blessed that out of the top 3 candidates in the last election, ADC already parades 2 of them, number 2 and number 3. So that should tell us that if we manage our affairs very well, we already have overwhelming votes to torpedo the APC. So ADC is well positioned. I don't know why people think, oh, it's impossible, Asiwaju is not removable. Trust me. For as long as we give INEC close marking, and that's why you need candidates who will be able to generate the firepower, the impetus to take on APC on their own turf. That's all. It's not an impossibility all over the world. Once you are able to manage the electoral process professionally, perfectly, you will see that you will go to. It happened during Buhari. That's why they brought Buhari. It wasn't that a lot of people didn't want Buhari at that time, but they knew he had the capacity to defend the party.
Chief Momodu,
at the electoral stage.
You say that the ADC is blessed, but that blessing from experience may also, become a curse if not well managed. And to put it in proper context, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, now in the ADC, left the party in 2022 when he was unable to get the ticket. So against that backdrop, how do you manage the concerns that at the primary level, some say that the ticket could go to the highest bidder because of your principal, who sometimes is perceived to, be generous during the primaries, against the concerns of the others, for instance, the obedient movement, whose principle is known not to give shishi during the presidential primary. And the other big egos in the room as well. You've mentioned the former governor of Rivers State, former speaker, Rotimi Amechi. How do you manage all of these concerns to ensure that there is internal democracy at the primary level?
Once again, let me advise that we should not rewrite our contemporary history. Mr. Peter Obi, His Excellency Peter Obi did not leave PDP because he did not get the ticket. He did not contest PDP primary. So we will be rewriting history if we say he left because he didn't get. People said he left because he felt there were too many big wigs he would not be able to compete with. But part of democracy is primary election. It does not matter whether some people are richer or not. Wike was by far richer than Atiku Abubakar in that primary. He still did not win. I can give you that. I was an insider. Wike spent far more money than any of the candidates, and he still didn't get it. So it's not just about money. When we talk about money, there are logistics. We're not talking about bribing. There are people who raise money just to bribe 774 delegates of PDP. And there are people who are so meticulous, they are consummate Democrats, and they knew that they needed structures. And that structure is what they will need for them to win the primary. So when you talk about money, even in America, okay, Kamala Harris outperformed Donald Trump in terms of raising funds. She had over $1 billion to spend. She still didn't win. Money is required. There's nothing like you don't give shishi. It's not about giving shishi to bribe. You need, for example, on the day of the general elections, you need to make sure that you can manage every polling booth. Make sure nobody can rewrite your votes. Nobody can steal your votes. That's what we mean by money. Atiku did not bribe delegates. So when people are talking about, oh, we are afraid of Atiku who spend dollar. Which dollar? Atiku is a businessman. He has been a businessman since he left power in 2007. He does not control any state in Nigeria. Actually controls at least Lagos. I don't know other states he controls personally. And he can do and undo. Wike controls rivers. Till today, the trouble in rivers is about the resource control.
Right.
Going to one man. So Atiku doesn't have that. 2007, he's been managing his business. So where will he get the billions of dollars to spend on bribing delegates? That's why they use strategy to outsmart Wike, and that's why Wike became inconsolable. Till today, Wike has not recovered because he was so sure that nobody could match him dollar for dollar.
Right. But Mr. Atiku can't do that. And he has shown that, as you've said. But on a side, Chief, what's in this for you? And I'm sure you've probably had to answer that question time and again. If all things work together for your good, as they say, in that sense, the ADC is able to clinch power. Are you looking at a federal position? Or are you looking at running for governor or the National Assembly? What role or leadership role do you want to play in this ADC that is being built?
I see myself as a child of destiny. I joined the struggle to emancipate our country since 1978 as a pioneer jambite at the then University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. I have never bothered about wanting to be a minister, to be a governor, to be... Even today, as I declare my solidarity with ADC in Edo State, people are asking me, oh, do you want to be governor? Do you want to be senator? Nigerians no longer believe that anybody can do anything for his country, pro bono. I supported Major General Momodu in 2015. I was a ferocious campaigner, and he won. Within 2 months, I saw he was leading Nigeria in the wrong direction. I started writing my letters to him, and on one occasion, he invited me to Aso Rock. I didn't go there to go and negotiate with him. At that time, he had not even picked his cabinet. You remember, it took almost forever before Buhari picked his cabinet. I didn't go there to lobby for myself. Look, my modest income makes me very comfortable and happy. Okay? So, if tomorrow, Peter Obi, Tambuwa, Atiku Abubakar, or any of them get power, all I can do is to assist them from the background. I've never bothered myself because, look, I'll be 66. I may still be feeling young and all that, but I'll be 66 in another 5 months. May. This year, I'll be 66. So what is, look, I don't know what people are looking for. That's why I'm embarrassed that you see former governors, you see current governors who God has blessed beyond imagination. They are so scared and they are so over-ambitious. They have this voluptuous and voluminous ambition about being in power forever. You are a governor for 8 years, the next thing you want to be senator, forever. That's not me. I'll be most delighted for us to have consummate Democrats. For me, number one, seeking first democracy. Because we cannot replace military dictatorship with civilian dictatorship. I spoke to Shimo Kimbaloye on the sister program of Channels TV in October 2022, and I told him, I said, you watch it. Nigeria will slide into dictatorship if we pick Ashwaju. People abuse me. How can you say that about your friend? I said, it's not about my friend. I learned from Ashwaju himself to be able to shoot straight. He taught me some of the things that I do today because I was extremely close to him in exile. And so I'm happy to be here. If I wanted to join Ashwaju after the brouhaha of that 2023 election, you can see those who used to abuse him. I never even abused him. Those who used to abuse him, I didn't know with him today. But that's not my interest. My interest is to see a better Nigeria where I will not have to be begging my children to come back home. It doesn't make sense to me. Nigeria is one of the best places on earth. All we require is just a leader who knows how to manage people and resources. And that's why we must now seek the Peter Obis, the Atikus, who have done their own businesses in their lives. All right. And can manage people and resources. Because if you have not managed your own resources and all you do is to live on government largesse, all right, you can see the recklessness going on in Rivers. Because of one man, they declared state of emergency, where Chief, nobody was killed, where there was no violence. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Now they want to impeach a governor. They are insulting the governor, turning him to a robot.
All right, Chief.
Why? Because
Well, we hope that
Before
that altruism that you talk about will also, be demonstrated in the conduct of politicians of the ADC in 2027. But you were director of media for the Atiku campaign. So
strategic communications.
Strategic communications. Thank you for the clarification. So shall we say that because of your stated preference for him in terms of strategy, you would be supporting him in the primaries ahead of 2027?
I will personally support him with everything, not because I was director of strategy, because I believe that we need sober men who can manage people and resources. In 1993, Atiku Abubakar was advised to step down for MK Abiola. He stepped down. He didn't throw tantrums. He didn't destroy SDP. They promised to make him vice president. They didn't make him vice president. They gave it to Alhaji Babagana Kingibe. Atiku still didn't fight. And during the fight for democracy, he spent his own resources and everything to fight for democracy. He wanted to be governor. He won the governorship in the old Gongola, now Adamawa state. And he still managed to clinch the VP ticket with Baba Obasanjo at the time. So I like people who can wait for their time, people who are not in a hurry. So there's no big deal. And those are the things I admire in the man. A man who has invested heavily in education. Education for me is everything.
All right.
I was born into a very modest family in Ile-Ife in 1960. Without education, I won't be sitting down here to talk to you. So this man has invested heavily in education from primary to tertiary levels. So those are the things we must admire in people. It's not about, oh, he's a big man, he's a former vice president. He has never fronted being a vice president. He's been able to manage his own life since 2007. If every politician in Nigeria can manage their lives without living on the government, I will admire them.
Okay, so 2027 is already taking shape with your declared support for Atiku Abubakar's aspiration. We must anchor at this point, and thank you.
Only one vote.
It still counts. We must thank you at this point. Chief Dele Momodu is an ADC chieftain now, no longer a PDP chieftain, as he defects to the ADC today, and of course a journalist. Thank you for coming through on this one.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll take a moment now. When we return, it will be time to have a very important conversation. The historic agreement to restore confidence in the tertiary education sector signed between the Academic Staff Union of University and the federal government yesterday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.